Welcome to NFL News again. I can't believe we're doing this again. On June 21st, no, January 21st, 2026, we have some news surrounding the Falcons coaching staff plus GM search. Bills are still searching for their new head coach. And we got an interesting story with the Brian Flores and the Vikings, which had the breaking news as of recorded. So we'll get to that later on. We'll start in Atlanta. The Falcons, if you have not seen their official YouTube video of Kevin Stefanski arriving to the Atlanta Falcons facility, go check that out because it is official. He has arrived to Atlanta as the next head coach. So, who will be his offense coordinator? It will be Tommy Rees. The Falcons are expecting to hire former Browns offensive coordinator Tommy Rees as their offensive coordinator. Probably this was one that everyone expected this was going to happen, that Bill Callahan was going to be hired as the O-line's coach and Tommy Rees was going to be hired as the offensive coordinator. So that report has finally come true. Both of them got hired. Both of them got hired to the Falcons offensive staff. So we know the head coach is Kevin Stefanski. We know the Falcons offense coordinator is going to be Tommy Rees, which he's going to have a lot of work with Michael Penix Jr., Drake London, Bijan Robinson. And we know Jeff Ulbrich is going to return to Atlanta as the defense coordinator and again sign a 3-year deal to stay in Atlanta. So again, we'll see who else will join Kevin Stefanski's coaching staff in Atlanta. We'll probably hear from him in the introduction press conference. Not sure when is that going to happen, but probably it's going to happen sometime this upcoming days. So let's go to their GM search. So the Falcons are requesting to interview a bunch of GMs who are going to look for their Falcons general managers. Starting with 49ers Director, Scouting and Football Operations, Josh Williams. They'll be interviewing him. Steelers Assistant General Manager, Andy Wilder. Bears Assistant General Manager, Ian Cunningham. Texans Assistant General Manager, James Leffler. Chiefs Assistant General Manager, Mike Bradwell. And that's it. That's as of right now. I think the best candidate right now is Ian Cunningham, and they're still requesting these guys to come into Atlanta to interview with not only with Kevin Stefanski, but also Matt Ryan, who is the new president of football operations. So he's going to be looking at these candidates, and I look at this, and I'm like, I think Matt Ryan knows football, and he finally knew how to hire general managers. I think Ian Cunningham makes sense, but again, it's too early. You never know what's going to happen. The Falcons just pray to see who your new GM is going to be. Bills quarterback Josh Allen could have pursued on his injured foot soon, but it would be not affected his ability for off-season workouts. Remember, he was dealing that foot injury throughout the second half of the season, plus the playoffs. Good news, Bills fans. Josh Allen's going to be healthy. He's going to be ready to go for off-season workouts, and he's hunting for a Super Bowl. So what's going on with their head coaching interviews? So here are the ones they are requesting to interview. It is Colts defense coordinator Lou Anarumo, Bills offense coordinator Joe Brady, which they already completed his interview as of today. Former Giants head coach Brian Daboll. And here's something that I want to add into this. If he does not want to take the Bills head coaching job, which not sure if that is going to happen, then the Titans will hire Brian Daboll to be their next offensive coordinator. So we'll keep that story on the line. We'll see if Daboll becomes the next head coach of the Bills. And if it does happen, then Tennessee will have to find someone else as their new offensive coordinator. But if he does not become the Bills head coach, he will take the Titans OC job. And then also we have Jaguars offense coordinator Grant Usich, of course, one of those Liam Cohen, probably potential Liam Cohen coaching treats kind of a guy. So far, the favorite is Brian Dable, and the real reason why he's favorite is not only he's a coach of the year, um, he's been a former head coach, but he's had some connections in Buffalo. He has connections with Josh Allen and the organization, and it probably would be a great matchmaker for the Bills to bring Brian Dable back to Buffalo, but to become the head coach of the Bills. So yeah, uh, Dable is the favorite for the Bills' job, but the Titans are waiting to see if Brian Dable doesn't become the Bills' head coach and can come to Nashville to become their offensive coordinator. All right, so Chiefs have finally announced they are hiring Eric Bieniemy as their next offensive coordinator. Remember, Matt Nagy's contract has been expired, so now they have to bring in a replacement, and it is Bears running backs coach Eric Bieniemy, who has known Andy Reid, knows Patrick Mahomes, the organization very well, and they do believe this is a massive hire for the Chiefs to bring him back. I'll give this one an A plus. He knows the organization, he knows Reid, but he's got a lot of work in hand. Because yeah, the last time he's been an offensive coordinator in the NFL was when he left Kansas City to become the Commanders' offensive coordinating job. But also the last time he was the OC was in UCLA. All right, let's get to the breaking news that happened as of this about 2 hours ago. Vikings defense coordinator Brian Flores, who's been linked to head coaching jobs, for example, the Steelers would have been interested with him. He has signed his contract extension with the Vikings. That would mean that Flores will not be taking a head coaching job, and that will signal that he is going to stay in Minnesota as the defensive coordinator for the Vikings. This makes a lot of sense, but for me, I thought it would have been a better chance for him to get a head coaching job because of what he's achieved with the Vikings. But I do think Brian Flores wants a little more time of thinking and do another year with the Vikings as the defense coordinator. But this contract extension, we don't know the details of the contract. We'll still find out what the details is. I believe it's going to probably be a 3-year deal. Probably makes sense. So yeah, Brian Flores not going to take the head coaching job. He is staying in Minnesota as the defensive coordinator. All right, we go to former Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy has completed an interview for the Eagles offensive coordinating job. Again, Matt Nagy unfortunately may not take the head coaching job, which probably makes sense because there's not a lot of jobs that are probably going to be interest with Matt Nagy. So I do believe he's going to end up getting the offensive coordinating job. And I look at this one. Listen, Eagles, hire Matt Nagy to be your next offensive coordinator. All right, Steelers have planned to have a second in-person interview with Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver for their head coaching job, and we know when that's going to happen, and that's going to be this Friday. So Anthony Weaver has been mentioned with him with Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Those are the two teams that are likely going to battle to see who wants to hire Anthony Weaver. But he is a real good person, real good person. Of course, I think he's going to fit one of these two jobs. If I had to pick one job for Anthony Weaver, I think Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh would hire Anthony Weaver as their next head coach. He will be a first timer, but I do believe he's going to build around this football team around, just like what Mike Tomlin did when he came to Pittsburgh. But again, you never know what happens. I do think Anthony Weaver is a great pickup if that happens, but they're going to have a second in-person interview on Friday. Also, Pittsburgh has completed their interview with former Cowboys / Packers head coach Mike McCarthy. And Buccaneers have completed a virtual interview with Bengals offensive coordinator Dan Pitcher. And again, for the Buccaneers, they're still waiting on who's their OC. There's still guys available. I mean, interview Matt Nagy as your offensive coordinator. Easy. That's it for NFL news, January 21st, 2026. If you've not seen my other videos, go check them out on my channel. Of course, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell for more sports news.